Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Better Relationships After Baby podcast. I am excited to kick something off with you during this episode. So, this is the episode during the first week of a 30 Days of Better Communication series. So, if we are not connected in other places, now is the time to come connect on your favorite platform. I am doing 30 days of videos on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, 30 days of check ins on Facebook and on Peanut. And it is just 30 tidbits, little tidbits of communication, insight, skills, topics for the purpose of helping more people have better communication. I was thinking about the timing of this and the elections coming up. A lot of people are having tense conversations in their own homes and with their family, with their friends. And I thought, what better time than now to invite you and hopefully more and more people that will find this 30-day series to invite you to take a look at your communication patterns, barriers, skills, strengths, all of the above, and think about how to hone in on better communication. So during this 30-day series, we are going to be diving into those key skills and habits that can transform your relationship through communication. This podcast episode is releasing on Tuesday, and the 30-day series started on Friday. So if you haven't seen it, heard about it, you can go back and catch a couple of days, 4 days of videos so far. But today I wanted to use this podcast episode to lay the foundation. I like to think of communication as the bedrock of a relationship. So you can have love, you can have shared goals, you can have sexual, physical attraction, all of that. But I believe if your communication is not solid, it's like trying to build the house on sand. It won't stand strong when life throws your challenges. So communication is there to hold you through the high times and the low times, the good times and the bad. And you need that foundation, especially when challenges start to come and you're doing something completely new, something completely different, something that has a real strong emotional component. The communication is such an important factor here. So, in this episode, the first of a series of 4 episodes that are going to be part of this communication series, in this episode, I want to explore why communication is that foundation of any relationship. So, how it is a skill that you can always work on when you're feeling great in your relationship. It's a great time to work on communication. When you're feeling a little off in your relationship, great time to talk about communication. When you're feeling like maybe this is the end of your relationship, great time to talk about communication. And I want to give you a few tips on how to start conversations about communication. Isn't that weird? Like, let's talk about talking. Let's have a conversation about our communication. We want to do that without it sounding so awkward, right? I'm here to help you do that. Sound good? Let's go. So let's start by talking about why communication is that foundation of any relationship. Think about it. Everything in a relationship, whether it's trust, emotional safety, intimacy, even the little daily interactions, rely on how well we communicate. If communication is clear and kind and honest, it brings you closer. If communication is confusing, tense, or non existent, it creates distance, misunderstandings, and conflict in the relationship. Here's the thing though, communication isn't just about talking, okay? Sometimes it's as much about shutting your mouth and listening. It's about understanding your partner's needs and expressing yourself in a way that your partner can truly hear. It's about understanding how your partner expresses their needs and how you receive that in the communication. It's all this back and forth bridge building that builds the connection. You're like, Let's go back to the foundation, like laying a layer, laying a layer, laying a layer. You can continue to make it stronger and stronger. And there are these different pieces. It's not just talking, it's also listening. It's not just how you present, it's how you take in your partner's information. It's not just how your partner takes in information, it's about how they present it. You can have the best intentions, but if you and your partner don't have the tools to communicate well, then even those small issues can feel huge. And it's not because you're bad communicators if things aren't going well. It's because you probably came from two different sets of what's normal in your brain. You probably had different examples of that growing up. You probably have just different ideas, different patterns, different routines. And that's part of being in a relationship, is learning that about yourself, learning that about your partner, and choosing to continue laying those bricks in that foundation together. I'm sure we've all had moments where we think to ourselves, like, why did that little thing turn into such a big argument? Like, whoa, it feels like a knife in my chest just thinking about that, and thinking about early on as parents, how much time my partner and I spent trying to alleviate a situation that started as a small conversation and got completely blown out of proportion. We have been there. That does not happen very often anymore. We have learned how to stop that pattern. We have learned how to ask questions. We've learned how to understand ourselves and where we're coming from, to the point where that very rarely happens now, but it was a very common part of early parenthood for us. Now, the good news is that communication is a skill. So it's not something that you either have or you don't, and that's it forever. It's something you can work on and get better at. That's why no matter where your relationship is right now, there is always room to work on communication. I know, like I just shared, for my husband and I, it has been a learning process. And there are still moments where we get it wrong. Okay. I'm not here behind this mic and behind the camera on these things because I do it perfectly. But we have come a very, very long way in making it a priority to work on how we communicate. And I'm here to share with you all the things that I've nerded out on, all the things that I've learned, experienced, and helped people through when it comes to communication, because we all need better communication. We've had to remind ourselves so many times that it's not about one of us being the problem. Okay, we don't have to identify the villain and the saint in every argument, or in most arguments, to be honest. Hint, hint. If that is a pattern you find yourself in, trying to be the saint and your partner is the villain, or casting yourself as the villain because your partner is the saint, like, that's probably not helpful. We don't have to do that anymore. Our brains are evolved more than such black and white thinking. We get to say we're going to learn and grow as a team. This is an ongoing journey because life changes. You might have been great communicators before kids, and now you're like, what the hell happened? We were doing so good. Well, life changes. Maybe you had great communication in one season of life where your work situation was different, and now that has changed. Life changes. You go through different stages, whether that's pregnancy, becoming new parents, balancing careers, sending your child off to school, becoming empty nesters. Each new stage calls for a communication adjustment. It calls for a tune-up in that area. The way you communicated when it was just the two of you is going to look different when you're juggling kids and other changes. There is always something new to learn. So let's talk about something important. How do you actually start talking about talking and listening? How do you actually start talking about communication without it turning awkward or defensive? I hate when things turn defensive. Step one, normalize it. Everyone struggles with communication sometimes. That is what I'm here to set the stage and tell you. Listen, learn about communication. Dive into this. Get good at this. Nerd out on it with me. Get support. Work with me in coaching, because everyone struggles with communication. Some people are going to address it and live a little happier together. Some people are going to say, well, this is the way things are, and they're not going to change, okay? Which person do you want to be? Make it clear. This is not about blame. It's about improvement. That takes the pressure off. You are on the same team. Remember, I'm always working with my clients to remind them they are on the same team and they can do so much more when we get that teamwork really strong and they become great communicators and understanders, made that word up, of themselves and one another. Step 2, timing matters. You do not want to bring up communication issues when you're in the middle of a heated argument, okay? Or when your partner just walked in the door after a long day. Pick a moment when you're both calm and able to really focus on each other. I do a whole day on this in the series about timing. Step 3, frame it as an opportunity for both of you to grow. Instead of saying, you're not a good communicator, or when you tell me that, it's dumb, or, whatever iteration of that you might be feeling in your heart and soul. Try saying something like, hey, I think we could both work on communication with each other so that we avoid misunderstandings, or so that we experience more closeness, or so that we continue growing together. Invite them to follow this 30-day series with you. Invite them to explore support and learning, like coaching or courses or following an Instagram account that you love. Like, commit to both being curious and committed to learning about communication, because again, this is going to impact every area of your relationship. It is about creating a space where you can both feel heard and where you're building a deeper, stronger relationship together. So, to wrap this episode up, I want to encourage you to start thinking. Start thinking about how communication shows up in your relationship right now. What's working well? Awesome. Let's think about why that's working well, how to capitalize on that, and how to repeat those patterns. What areas could use improvement? Awesome. Let's figure out where it's not going so well and where we need to interrupt the patterns in order to make an improvement. Clear, open communication is the foundation. I truly believe that will carry your relationship through these different seasons of life. And I'm here to help you do that. So again, if you are not following, find your favorite social media channel, follow along for these 30 days of better communication videos, posts, emails. Like, I'm giving you tidbits. And some of you, you're going to pull something from every single day and be like, I learned a little bit from every day. Some of you, you're going to go through 5 or 7 days and be like, there were some of those that didn't apply to me and some of those that rocked my world. Okay. It's about finding what is missing for you or where you want to grow and learn and being able to have the skills to do that. Please share this with your partner. Listen to it, both of you individually, and schedule times to talk about it. Share it with your friends who are on this journey with you. And if you want to really get curious and confident and understanding of who you are, who your partner is, how you bring those things together in your relationship, and how you build the life you want together, then let's talk about the coaching offerings I have, because if you are hungry for that, I am so hungry to help you get that. Until next time, guys, sending love and keep it real.